Russian President Vladimir Putin launched his troops into Ukraine on the night of the 23rd of February. This military attack has already impacted the commodities market, particularly on the price of oil, gas, and wheat. What economic repercussions can this conflict have in the world, and how will it affect us? That is exactly what we will look at in this video. We're going to talk about the financial consequences of the Russian-Ukraine war and how it will affect you. But before starting this video, please like the video and subscribe to this channel for future updates. With that out of the way, let's get started.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine was swift and dramatic, but the global economic consequences will be much slower to materialize and less dramatic. Yet Russia will probably be the biggest long-term economic loser from the conflict apart from Ukraine. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is destabilizing the global economy, which is still in remission from COVID. There has been a significant rise in the price of gas, oil, and agricultural commodities. A few days after the military operations, the American West Texas Intermediate, WTI, oil barrel reached more than $100. And just for reference, the black gold in Europe, more than $105. This is the first time this has happened since 2014. Indeed, the financial markets reacted quickly to the news of the invasion of Russia. These sudden changes in energy prices will hurt the global economy. Europe is particularly vulnerable, as it has done little in recent years to reduce its dependence on Russian gas, and in some cases, notably in Germany, which has abandoned and even exacerbated nuclear power. Oil importing countries will be penalized by higher prices. The US is more hedged because its oil production equals its oil consumption. More expensive oil is roughly neutral for the GDP, but higher oil prices will affect the US consumers while helping a more limited segment of oil and gas industry related business and workers. The price spike will also add to inflation, which is already at its highest level in a generation in the USA, Europe, and other advanced economies. And this is only just the beginning. Indeed, the market is forecasting a massive tightening of the black gold supply. With Russia, the world's third largest oil producer behind the US and Saudi Arabia, investors are worried about potential hydrocarbon supply disruptions. Imagine a world without hydrocarbons. Even getting around and going to work will be very difficult. With this increase in the price of hydrocarbons, it would not be long before this happens. Of course, there are still oil reserves and many other countries produce it, but even so, we could run out of fuel, at least in a few months. It will be challenging to afford fuel for your car. Only the rich will have this privilege. Moreover, oil futures prices are lower than spot prices, suggesting that the market expects this increase to be temporary. Therefore, central banks could primarily ride out the events in Ukraine, neither delaying tightening nor accelerating it in response to rising headline inflation. The surge in oil prices is terrible news for businesses and consumers, and clarifies one of the main impacts of the Russia-Ukraine war on the global economy. It will serve to fuel further inflation, which means that energy bills will continue to rise. This is all the truer since, in the event of a partial interruption of Russian oil supplies, the other major producing countries could only compensate to a limited extent. Moreover, Russia is also the world's largest exporter of natural gas, and Europe imports 40% of its gas from Russia. The remaining 60% is exported to other countries in the world. But then, should we therefore fear problems with global gas supplies? Yes, because there is no immediate solution to replace imports from Russia on the world gas market if they were to stop. However, this dependence is more relevant for European countries and China as they are the largest consumers in the world. What consequences might this have on bills? If gas becomes scarce, its price will rise, and all companies that use gas as a carbide will have to increase the cost of their product. Similarly, Russia's invasion of Ukraine has caused the stock market to fall on the world's markets. At the opening of Wall Street, the flagship Dow Jones Index fell by 2.46%, the broader S&P 500 index by 2.54%, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq by 3.45%. Not only that, but the stock markets sank by more than 5%, experiencing one of the worst sessions since March of 2020 and the confinements. The Warsaw Stock Exchange, the leading financial center in Central and Eastern Europe, fell by more than 10%. The Moscow Stock Exchange collapsed by more than 35%. This was a significant loss for all investors, especially those who had bet on the long term. Similarly, although the Russian stock market has significantly fallen since the invasion, Western sanctions are unlikely to have any immediate major effects. They are simply not the economic equivalent of Russia's bombs on Ukraine. Russia is better prepared than most countries to deal with sanctions. The government has run a substantial current account surplus and accumulated record foreign exchange reserves of $630 billion, enough to cover almost 2 years of imports. And while Russia depends on Europe's revenues, Europeans depend on Russian oil and gas, which may be even harder to replace in the short term. As the world continues to react to the Russian invasion, concerns about GDP seem minor in comparison. Far more critical is a world where people and countries feel safe, and that is something worth paying for, even more than the world leaders have paid for so far. Do you think this war will be expanded to become the Third World War? Let us know in the comments section below. If you liked this video and you want to hear from us again, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and please like the video before you go. And as always, thanks for watching.